everyone, I'm Michaela Kathleen. Welcome to my May reading wrap-up. This month I read the Chaos Walking Trilogy and some more of the Lewis Carroll collected works, which I'll start with this. I am still plodding through this. This month I read the Phantasmagoria, which was some more poetry. Still not really loving it. I'm kind of slowly working my way through so it can earn its place on the shelves. I did enjoy the beginning of this one. The beginning was a ghost and a guy just sort of talking, and the ghost was just like very sarcastic and funny, so I really enjoyed the beginning because I liked the ghost character, but then it kind of went off in other directions and I lost interest. But yeah, I am taking another break from this one before continuing on with it. But the real exciting thing this month was the Chaos Walking Trilogy. I read this one last year, the first one, and I loved it so much. It was so interesting and unique. I've been excited to reread it and finish the series this time around for a while now, and with the movie coming out, I wanted to finally get to it. I have not seen the movie yet, but I'm still excited for when I do. I'm kind of trying to wait for it to go on streaming and be cheaper. But yeah, whenever I have talked about this one on my channel, I haven't really gone into much detail because it's such a cool, interesting, unique like concept and book, and I feel like the less you know about it going in, the more exciting it is. So if you haven't read it, I recommend going and reading it before continuing with the video. Because honestly, I went into this one knowing literally almost nothing about it. I only knew that it was recommended by John Green and the title. I did not even know the genre, honestly. I kind of assumed that it would be like an adult literary book, but no, it is a young adult sci-fi. And it starts with like the best like first opening few lines ever. It's hilarious. So I will read those. The first thing you find out when your dog learns to talk is that dogs don't got nothing much to say about anything. Need a poo, Todd? Shut up, Manchi. Poo. Poo, Todd. I just love that opening. Could you get a more hilarious opening for a book? And also just immediately intriguing because talking dog, which I'll talk so much more about Manchi later. But yeah, this book just has such interesting, unique writing, I think partly because of the concept. So the concept of the book is people have moved to this new planet because Earth is not doing so hot, and it's like they've been there for a while, but when they first landed, within like a few hours, all of the men's thoughts began being broadcasted. Everyone could hear their thoughts, and it turns out on this planet, that's just how everything is. You can hear their thoughts, but for some reason you couldn't hear women's thoughts. And this town where it takes place has killed all of the women, and our main character is the only boy left in town. He's about to have his 13th birthday, which is in the town when you become a man. But then he ends up having to run away and escape for reasons. And from there it kind of becomes your typical chase book. He is being chased by the town and he has to keep running, so it makes it very action-packed and exciting all the way through. But then like under this layer of being like an action-packed chase novel, it is got so much deeper stuff going on. It's like a really deep exploration of human nature and violence. It's a good old-fashioned coming-of-age story. It's got a dog and everything, a boy who is coming up on his birthday in which he's gonna be considered a man. It deals with death, which I think is a common coming-of-age topic. But then it's also like a pretty good feminist read, which is a nice surprise. So yeah, lots of layers, makes it very interesting, but this kind of surface layer of the chase novel also makes it very exciting. And yeah, the dog is just the best dog in any book, partly because he can talk. It's cute whenever Todd scolds him or spanks his butt, he'll say, "Ow, Todd," like it's a question, which is just the most adorable thing ever. He immediately just falls in love with Viola, the other main character, a very typical dog move. And Manchi really keeps Todd grounded. And yeah, he's just a great character. And spoiler alert, since this is a coming of age story with a dog, the dog does have a very tragic ending. And it's also just a book with a lot of layers and a lot of mystery, and you can tell the whole way through that there's just so much more to be revealed, and you're just waiting for it all to be revealed. And then it ends on such a good cliffhanger. I didn't love the ending with Aaron in the, like, behind the waterfall. That ending was just kind of okay, but then the big twist at the very end was very good, and it leaves you very excited for the next book. I know some people don't really like cliffhanger endings, but I do, as long as it all gets resolved in the following books. I also like how the titles for the second and the third book are explained in the first book. That was just a nice little detail that I appreciated. And yeah, this was a 5-star read for me, for sure. So fast-paced, so much mystery, such good, like, heavy topics that it's like digging into. A great read. So then after that, I of course read the sequel, The Ask and the Answer. And this one picks up pretty soon after where the last one ended, with, spoiler alert for how the last one ends, with Todd kind of being captured by the mayor and Viola has been shot. And so this one picks up with Todd, like, pretty much immediately after that, being, like, questioned by the mayor, and he doesn't know what has happened to Viola. She's been taken away. So it starts off very dramatically with Todd's interrogation, and then it slows down a little bit. This book is definitely not as fast-paced as the first book, because that chase element has been taken away, and so it's all just taking place in one spot. And in this one, we are getting both Todd's perspective and Viola's, whereas the first one we only had Todd's perspective. But I prefer Todd's perspective personally. His just feels more urgent to me, and so his had a little bit more of that fast-paced feeling, even though it wasn't a chase anymore. And this one is just layering on even more of those heavy topics to dig into. This one starts exploring war and colonization, and it's very interesting how everyone views the spackle, the indigenous life on the planet. Because, like, even the women who support the spackle more than the men just don't quite see them as human, which obviously biologically they're not, but they are, you know, of the same intelligence and all that. They're basically human, they're just aliens. And, like, Todd, again, even though he doesn't like how they're being treated, it's almost like he feels like they owe him for the good treatment that he is attempting to give them, and that's just not quite how it works. But yes, the spackle are definitely kind of meant to be representative of, you know, real indigenous communities in our own world that have been colonized throughout history. And it's just very interesting to see all of the different characters' perspectives on it. And then, like, mob mentality is something that's explored in the book quite a lot, because obviously everyone in this town's thoughts are being broadcasted to the world, and so there's a line about how crowds don't really think, it's just a roar because you can't really hear the individual thoughts. So yes, again, very interesting exploration of a lot of different heavy topics. But getting into more like the plot and stuff, it was kind of giving me a little bit of Hunger Games vibes, like how the women would set a bomb and then set a secondary bomb to go off once people had gathered. Big Hunger Games vibes there. And how the mayor killed all the spackle in order to make it seem like the enemy had done it to gain, like, sympathy for himself. Kind of like how the rebels in the Hunger Games bombed the children in order to make the president look bad. It also had some major Handmaid's Tale vibes. And it also still had that feeling of, like, there was more to be revealed, more secrets to reveal down the road. Like, it resolved some stuff from the new book, but then brought in some new mysteries. And then the ending was pretty exciting. There were things about this ending that I liked better, but then also things that still annoyed me. Like, Davy actually became a pretty interesting character, an interesting villain. All of the villains got more complex and more interesting in this second book. Like, and all the villains were kind of villainous in different ways. Like, the mayor's very smart about his villainy. Collins is just a straight up psychopath. The old mayor's kind of just like weak and just like trying to look out for himself, kind of. The mistress is kind of like a very gray villain. And then yeah, Davy also became very interesting. The dynamic with his dad and with Todd became really interesting. And then at the end, I really wondered if Davy was going to try to kill his dad and also whether he would succeed. But then it just spun it. Big spoiler here. Instead, Davy's dad killed him. The mayor killed him. It was crazy. And then Viola's ship showed up. There was just so much going on. It was a really crazy ending. But the thing that annoyed me was that Todd spared the mayor. Like, I get that kind of one of the big concepts of the book is that Todd is like a good person fundamentally deep down, and like he doesn't kill people, and like that's the whole problem with the mayor and the rest of the town is that they are killers. But it just gets annoying in stories when the good guys refuse to kill the bad guys to the point of just open stupidity. So that's kind of a trope that annoys me. But I left off still excited to see how the next book would go. I was interested to see what would happen with the new ship that was landing, full of new people, theoretically. And this one also got 5 stars from me. So then I finished off with Monsters of Men, which was kind of a disappointing finale for me. I liked the addition of 1017 as a viewpoint perspective. It made the world get a lot bigger, and we got to learn so much more about the Spackle. I find the way that they communicate very interesting, and the fact that it's like communication that's evolved for the world that they're living on, which is maybe part of why the people are struggling so much, because they're not evolved for it. The character of the Sky honestly kind of reminded me of The Giver from The Giver, having like this character who kind of knows everything and kind of everything is placed on their shoulders so that everyone else in the community doesn't have to worry so much about things. Again, much like the first two, exploring a lot of deep topics. This one kind of started to examine freedom and kind of did that tired old trope of the villain being like, people don't actually want freedom, they want to be told what to do, which is a trope that I don't particularly care for. The reveal of Ben being alive was so good, so much better than when he shows up alive at the end, near the end of the first book. So much better of a reveal this time, and just so much more exciting, and like he wasn't there for like 2 seconds and then gone again this time. And him being kind of integrated into the Spackle community was interesting. So yeah, him being like a part of the land was surprising. 1017 becoming the Sky was not surprising. This one just, it was a lot chunkier, a lot longer than the first two. I don't think it needed to be this long. It was much slower paced than the first two. It was a bit of a slog. And then it just felt like a lot of stuff didn't really pay off. Like Todd's mother's journal, I felt like was gonna play a bigger part, have some big revealing information in it, and it sort of never went anywhere. And like, we were never confirmed. The mayor started sort of reading the journal to Todd, and so I thought, obviously he's reading him fake stuff that's not what the journal actually says, but that never becomes an issue. The mayor's character was just sort of all over the place and became confusing to me, and I didn't really care for his ending. Again, there was this determination to keep Todd as not a killer, even though he has killed a Spackle. And so yeah, I didn't like how the mayor's storyline went. Todd's ending, I was okay with it. It was kind of expected. Like, when 1017 showed up, I kind of was like, okay, he's gonna shoot Todd now. I did like the moment where Viola is finally able to understand Todd without his noise, kind of mirroring that moment where Todd understood Viola at the end of the first book, even though she doesn't have noise. That was a really good moment. Their whole relationship is great. I love it. But yeah, overall, this was a very big, long book that I then felt didn't have enough payoff for everything that was set up in the first two books. I still gave it 4 stars because I love the characters so much and I loved the story so much up until this point, but I just had higher hopes for the ending. So yeah, these are the 4 books that I read in May. I'm very excited to watch the Chaos Walking movie sometime soon. I hope that it's good after all of its troubles that it's had during production. Let me know down below what you've been reading this month. Did you read Chaos Walking in preparation for the movie recently? And yeah, I would love to hear your general thoughts on the series. But now on to the quote for today's video, which I have a very short one from One Tree Hill, and this one is said by Nathan Scott. And it goes, "You can't measure a dream." Thanks for watching. Remember, words matter.